Now, our third speaker today has traveled all the way from UK to be here with us. Dr. Curie Park is a sustainability researcher, writer, lecturer, pursuing excellency in creating positive impact in scalable, fast, and inclusive manner. She aims to inspire the steer forward more sustainable practices through design innovation of products and services, manufacturing processes, and industrial systems. Her penetrating research interests cut across sectors from plastic waste, fashion and textiles to food industry and agriculture, and focuses on interdisciplinary collaboration mechanism for co-creating disruptive circular business innovation for sustainability challenges. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Curie Park.
Sawadee everybody. Thank you very much for having me today. This feels like a homecoming to come and see you in person in Bangkok. I did a little couple of plastic and waste circularity project back in 2018 and 19, and we had a interesting time converting waste from the ocean and converting the other waste from the SMEs in Bangkok. And now I can see there has been some progress ever since. I could see now we have like glass bottles with your water, and when you go out to see have some takeout food, then I could see some plastic still, but there are some paper-based containers. So although the speed is not as much, it may not be as fast as we wish it, but I can ensure that we are actually seeing the changes towards the right direction. And today, can I have my slides, please? And I'm really pleased to be part of this project that NAPS just presented, that I am, and also referring to Professor Joyce's point, that I am with the purpose of making this circular model of non is financially viable and profitable, so that it's not a loss making, but we will be generating revenues, so that it's actually a good thing to do, and it's an incentive for us to adopt the circular economy. And for today, I'm here to present yet another plastic upcycling project now taking place in Nepal. It's called P2G. G means Ga in house in Nepali, and we're trying to create an innovation mechanism and innovation ecosystem in Nepal that will bring the local plastic waste into and to turn them into housing products, long-lasting circular products to improve the living conditions in Nepal. And as you can see, right, Nepal is your neighboring country above India, between India and China. But as you can see, 75% of the land is mountain, and among the 75%, 15% is above 3,000 meters above sea level. So that's quite a difficult country to move around. So we realized it is impossible to centralize your recycling system to Kathmandu or some of the big cities. So rather than bringing everything to the one large scale manufacturing unit, we now came up with the idea that we have to have a smaller distributed remanufacturing unit for the plastic waste, so that can be recycled in different regions, so that can reduce the logistics cost, and that can also help people to use their own local waste rather than somebody else's that you don't even know. So plastic waste issue is just like anywhere else, it's quite severe in Nepal. We estimate 600 tons of plastic waste is being generated per day in Kathmandu Valley, and there isn't proper plastic upcycling or recycling facilities yet other than sending it to the India at the moment. So a lot of them ended up in instant being burnt in the open air or being buried in the water systems or in the mountain. You have see, it's a few years ago. It was a world. It was in the news worldwide that lots of plastics now scattered in the Everest region because of the water bottles and the crisp packets and the equipments they have to abandon after they conquer the summit in Everest. So we wanted to do something about this issue. Um, and also, at the same time, as Professor Joyashree pointed out, circular economy is directly linked with us, carbon emission and the climate change. So we wanted to see how our plastic issue can actually also contribute to mitigate the carbon emission issue. So we came up with this idea that 80%, more than 80% of the fuel is from the cutwood, the burning the cutwood in Nepal. So if we can replace it, or if we can reduce the need to burn or cut down the trees and burn them, that would actually help you to keep the forest intact and also not to burn the wood to emit more carbon into the atmosphere. So we are thinking, if you look at the picture, the roofs and the housing, they don't have any concept of insulation in Nepal yet. So on the fuel for heating needs. That was the starting point. So the aim is setting up the distributed small-scale plastic remanufacturing units in the mountainous areas in Nepal for the locals, by the locals, and with the local waste. That was our aim for the project. So we teamed up with the University of Cambridge, where I belong to, and the local business incubation, sustainability business incubation entity in Nepal, and also Field Ready. It's an NGO that builds specializing in building your materials that is needed in the directly in on spot for the disaster relief areas like Fiji or Syria or Iraq. So we're building, not only that, we are bringing this manufacturing units, but we want to create a local innovation ecosystem. And now it turns out to be, it doesn't have to be just one ecosystem, but it will be multiple ecosystems across the region. So that's our aim. And end goal is create the sustainable businesses and also encourage the local entrepreneurships so that it's not we making money, but we will provide the ecosystem that the local people will come up with their own ideas and they will produce their products with the plastic waste and then they can generate revenue themselves. Maybe I'm a bit too nervous today. So in this, excuse me, in this 3-year project, we just passed the phase 1 of pre-project of procurement, and first of our makeathon. The other interesting thing about Nepal is that because it's a landlocked country, we have a borderline with China and India, and there's no access to sea. And importing anything from outside is very difficult. It takes forever to import, to go through the very complicated government approval system. Also, they charge you nearly 50% of the entire cost of your machines. So we came up with this idea with the fund from the UK government. We can take this hard part to import everything, the machines, the rudiment, the necessary technology from abroad. So we finally we've placed an order of this 4 different basic plastic upcycling machines from India and one in France, and we placed an order in January, and finally, only last week, that has arrived in our fab lab. We're very pleased. And we ran one makeathon that was convening different enthusiastic people from Kathmandu Valley and also from global audiences, we ran an innovation idea platform that come up with generate ideas to product ideas to upcycle plastics into the housing product. And that's part of the other mechanism we're trying to do later tomorrow with the green polyol we generate from our process. So I want to invite you all to take part in our ideathon to generate ideas. Okay, what should we do with this polyol that can make money so that NAPSA will not be only making loss by recycling, but he can also still make money so that it can be prospering, sustainable business itself. Oh, sorry. So these are the basic machines that we imported. The first three ones is commissioned by Precious Plastic. Tomorrow we have a director of Precious Plastic Bangkok. Precious Plastic is a concept that's open source. They provide the plan for the machines, very basic machines for the plastic recycling as an open source, meaning that anyone with a plan, they can build their machine themselves. So we have a shredder to shred your plastics into big small pieces, and we have a hot press that will crush the plastic pellets into make into nice board, and we have an extruder that will produce the little funny sort of paste of plastic so that can be formed into anything. And also the last one, polyfloss, is an interesting one here. This is like a basically a massive candy floss machine. So you put your plastic pellets in this machine that will, with air and the heat, that will make it the fluffy material that can be also used as a cotton. It can be a good insulation material, or it can also still be pressed into the very hard materials too. So these are the four basic technology we are bringing into Nepal. We realized that upcycling your plastic into something useful doesn't necessarily have to be rocket science. We can actually, by bringing just appropriate level of technology, you can be, so we call it technology readiness level 5 or plus machines, so that we can avoid the risk of adopting a very new technology where we don't know what's going to happen, and also that's rather affordable, and that's also easy to maintain, and it's easy to operate, so that we can train the locals who's never used it before, but they can use it without too much difficulties. So we selected target areas among, there are 7 provinces in Nepal, and we realized if you see this XX here, oh sorry, this X, yeah, X and X, these are, you can see these are rather relatively flatter land, has a better access to the road systems and to India. So we are ruling these two out, but we are approaching province 1 where this Everest is here, which is nearly 9,000 meters high above ground, above sea. And this is Kathmandu area, and this is province 3. And province 4 is where the Annapurna and other Ganeshima, all other peaks, which is still like 6,000 meters above. And this is the least developed area in Nepal, like province 6 and 7. So we're targeting to have our units across these regions. And we want to find these areas where with the unsolved and substantial plastic waste issues. What was really interesting when we are doing the local area analysis, that some villages, they do have plastic waste, but not as much as you have in the city. So from the environmental perspective, not a lot of plastic waste is a good news. But for us, in order to make the scale that's operatable, we sort of find it as a challenging. They don't have enough plastic waste in there, so we're trying to find a sort of a hub area that these villages can bring their waste into the hub, so that into like a town center, so that it will be like sort of it could be sort of a traveling circus unit. So they will do it periodically. We will visit this area, and these people from here will bring their plastic waste either on foot or jeep. That would be the way that we will sustain ourselves. So, in order to understand what is actually happening, what is the real world challenge in these areas, we started having these visits and the meetings with people, and these are these from the Everest region in Province One. We understood that they have 80,000 visitors every year when it's a summit to conquer the summit, and they do have a really cute um, plastic collection system. They called take back. So these are shapers in this region, and they have been operating their own NGO, collecting and collecting waste in the regions. And once they have enough plastic waste in there, they crush it into small pellets and make it into 1 kilometer bag, 1 kilogram bag. And because in order to move this plastic from the base camp of Everest to the where any can where there's a road access, you have to walk down for 2 days. So you ask the travelers and trekkers to bring whatever they can for free, and they are because those trekkers are so in love with the area, they're willing to take like 1 or 2 bags, or even there were one lady took like 14 bags with her, walking back like on foot for 2 days to the airport. They come back and they will collect it there, and they will send it to the local recycling factory. There's one recycling factory in Pokhara, which is like quite far away. So what our aim is to build a upcycling unit nearer the airport, so that they don't have to transport it once again, but they will be collecting it back to the region, so that we can turn them into the housing products, and they can directly go back to the villages, so that they can refurbish their houses directly to reduce the logistics needs. And also we are collaborating with the local recyclers in Kathmandu. And this is really interesting visit that I made near Annapurna and the Ganesh Hema. So I don't know whether you can see here, like it was above about 3,000 meters sea level. We took an interesting journey within this jeep. You can see it was like a non-stop 5 hours white knuckle ride, a bumpy ride like this. I was the only one who was like screaming. We were like literally going through the water and the rocky roads, and like nearly hanging off the cliff. But everyone was like so calm, because this is what they do. We had to ride 5 hours non-stop, and the highlight was that there was no safety belt. And then it was really worth the visit to meet this really nice people. This is the house that we were hosted by the village leader here. What was really striking for me is that before I arrived, I read about these villages, and I saw the documentaries what the living conditions there will be, and I had 100% sure, I was sure that they will want to improve their living condition, because there's far from our standard of hygiene or comfort living conditions, right? And I was like really mentally prepared, like, okay, I need to be really polite and don't show a sign of any discomfort or like difficulty in staying in this house. But when you arrived, without a single moment of reluctance or embarrassment or hesitance, they were just super happy to host us, and they were just so happy to have us around in this house. And that was so unfair to ask them, so what is the challenge in your house? What do you want to improve in your house? Because they're so happy. What do you mean by improving? Why do I need to do anything about the house? Right, so I had to be really careful not to give a wrong impression that you have to be better. This is not good enough, right? So, and So I could look around, I started to look around, and they started actually collecting this plastic waste in the basket, and also we could see these like the houses are like like blue and red with the roofs. The roof was made with a corrugated iron sheet. So we sort of met in the midway rather than okay look at your house, you haven't got any furniture, you need to improve this and you need to improve this and this that. Rather than doing that, we kind of met in the midway. They will have to replace these sheets every 5 to 6 years. So they're willing to invest, and they do have a need to replace it. So we could we could think that this is the traditional slate roof they've been using, but since the earthquake in 2014 and 15, they find it this is more dangerous and heavier than this iron sheets. So they've been replacing, or like in a kind of ad hoc fashion, they've been mixing these sheets and this traditional roof tiles. So rather than making this like a funny blue and red, we could make it into decent colored, looking like a slate, but we can produce a nice lightweight roof tiles for them. That's sort of our midway conclusion. But let me explain about this picture. This is like a very, very sort of cliche type of documentary scene. You know, when you went to this village and you just invited just impromptu, then they just invite you to come to your house for a tea, and I went in there. He was making like fire in the house for me, and they offered me a little chair and a tea, and we barely could talk communicate anything because I only barely speak very little Nepali, but we just so happy and sitting there enjoying the fire, enjoying the tea and the breakfast, and we just exchange our uh, words and exchange that which doesn't really make any sense, but and we exchange our smiles, and we just had a good time and wishing them each other well, and just left. It just changes so much. It was such a transformative experience for me. And all the more I experienced this local lifestyle and their value, and I realized that our approach of plastic waste and upcycling should be. We will still be really pleased to help them with the plastic issue uh, they have, because they have this. They started collecting plastic waste, but they don't know what to do yet. It's like, okay, we know it's not really good that it's lying around, so now we're collecting, and now we can tell them this is your new currency. So once you collect it, we turn them into nice products. Then you don't have to pay so much because you already provided the raw material, and we will provide the machines that you can operate. And luckily, because of the water, lots of water, and from the mountain, nearly 90% of the electricity in Nepal is hydropowered. So we don't have to worry too much about the CO2 emission from the energy generation. So we're trying to come up with a solution that will be still um, preserving their value and their values and their lifestyle, and celebrating their traditions and happiness, but also still giving a little bit of help to do with the plastic they have, the problems they have. And these are the school kids and the local village people and the teachers who came to listen to our talk that we invited, for them to encourage the students and the young ones to join our makeathon in November. So, and this is other area in the province 7. So you can see the materials they use for the roof is a bit different in different regions, and they have different needs. So that was interesting to understand. Rather than having a universal solution, this is what you want, but we want to listen to them and really, really want to provide what they really want. But there will be not only the one single-use plastic issue, but plastic products, but we rather want to have a product with the longevity and the essential products in this division. And you can see this is very typical scene of waste. It's dumped in the nature, and that's the end of it. So that's quite sad, and this will be our target to tackle. And this is plastic people that I visited in Vietnam. You will have his talk tomorrow. The first one, he will be the keynote speaker tomorrow morning. And this is fantastic social enterprise in Vietnam, operating in Vietnam. And what's really interesting about them is they take any given type of plastic. You know, plastic are very in different types, and because of the different behavior, different melting temperature, it's very important that you segregate, and the purer the better the solid plastic type you have. But they do also segregate in this factory. But they do now they came up with this 26 different recipes to use any given plastics in different recipes, so they can mix and to generate really good quality products boards using the hot press technology. You will listen more about it from him, and will be amazed. Be prepared to be amazed by the good quality they produce. And these are sample innovations we're trying to do, like roofing or the flooring. And this is global makeathon that we ran in earlier this year. We invited makeathon is just the concept that my research interest is. It is the innovation interdisciplinary collaboration mechanism that brings different people from different disciplines, from engineering, creativity, design, and business, and the science. So we want to tackle the very difficult sustainability issues by bringing these brains together, so that to come up with the ideas that was not possible at an individual level, but when you are together as a creative human being, this is where our hope for the Homo sapiens. We don't know what we want, but we're so creative and so abstract in our thinking. When we are together, we can be more strategic, we can be much more creative, and we can come up with the solutions. I trust in that. This is what we're trying to do. And we started in Europe. We did it with we ran 15 makeathons across Europe about to make the food system more sustainable. So we, after honing this techniques and mechanism, we bring it into this to this region in Thailand and Nepal in Asia. And the one thing, one specialty about our approach is that we bring in the maker space element in it. So it's not only about ideas, but we bring this making with your own hands and experimenting and developing your ideas by prototyping your ideas into tangible something. So that as a human, we always want to play with your hands and the materials, and this is how you can have fun and also come up with great ideas. So you can see we came up with little kangaroo looking a toy, or the little other toy that we built in order to tackle some sugar issues in the UK. And this is the other example we ran in South Korea. We had a makeathon about how to make people to link food system with the circular economy there, with climate change. How can make people to associate their eating habits with climate change. And this is one from in Nepal. We ran a global one, so we had some international audience from Zoom, like as we do in today in a hybrid session. And we had a good fun with the local participants. So we are asking for enthusiastic individuals to join with a passion for the same issue. And also we're promoting to invite people from the remote villages that didn't really have access to these opportunities before. So we're providing transportation and accommodation for them. And we also, not only this, but we are providing a business incubation program right after the makeathon. So once you have a concrete idea, then they will run through this masterclass, how to build a business model, how to access the finance, how to develop innovation that will be suitable for the market. And we are preparing them to launch their businesses next year. And this similar evaluation criteria will apply to our ideas on tomorrow, whether the idea is innovative and novel enough, whether the prototype is explaining, demonstrating the concept well, and whether it's actually tackling the biggest sustainability challenge issues, and whether it has a business potential, whether the team is willing to actually do and committed to their real serious real world business. So we anticipating that we will have a life cycle impact of having a long-lasting 30 years plus impact longevity of the product, and also we want to tackle this climate change issue at the same time with the circularity plastic issues. And we're expecting to address these many UN SDG goals, from poverty to consumption to life on land and sea. So this is it, like for now. So watch this space, how we can actually improve the living conditions and the plastic issues in Nepal. Thank you very much.